Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HP Podcast, episode number 332. It's crazy. I'm Ben, and with me here today are the beautiful boys, as always. Let's start in order of, I was going to say good looking to worst looking, but I won't do that, so I'll just change it up real quick. Brandon, what's up, dude?
What's up, guys? How we doing?
I'm doing all right, but I asked you, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm very eager. I just had some kimchi, so my gut biome is going to be absolutely amazing. My gut's going to be so happy. All the little guys in there are just going to be jumping for joy. Had a little bit of stir fry, a little bit of sticky rice. I'm feeling right as rain. Not often do I hit.
Did you make the kimchi, or like where'd you get it?
Holly, Dustin's wife, made the kimchi. Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. Very, very, very good. And then my brother and his girlfriend made stir fry.
Nice.
So yeah, it was really good, man. And I had, I forgot my beer somewhere, but it's too late now. I had a peachy IPA from Sierra Nevada, that I tried for the first time today. That was really good.
Nice.
And I plan to go to the bar after this. So yeah, I got a lot going on for me right now. A lot of good things. So it is my weekend after all. So I'm gonna use it to the fullest. But
I was unaware that Holly made kimchi, and I'm gonna have to hit her up because I am a fiend for kimchi. So
I think this might be her first outing.
Okay.
But it was very, and still is. I have a little tiny bit left, and I have the juice, which I will also use. But
I've
it's
never
very, very, very good.
I've never eaten anything that woman has made and not been thoroughly delighted.
I know. I know.
So
She just got some more Napa cabbage today as well. So
nice.
another batch is coming down the pipeline. But yeah, things are good. I have 2 drinks on my desks today. Actually, 3. So I'm like
How many of them are alcoholic?
which I forgot my beer in the other room. None of them.
That's
Um,
crazy.
I have 2 kinds of water
Okay.
and soda.
One of those, two of those drinks at least are carbonated.
Right.
Do you find any like? Do you find that you need to drink one drink of one drink of the other to make sure they can maintain a consistent carbonation between the two?
No, no, no. I just had gotten this Liquid Death earlier in the day, and it's much bigger than a normal can. And
Hmm.
then I sat down to dinner and opened myself another can of something, but I also had a beer open before that.
Hmm.
And I just have my giant thing of water. But anyway, I don't know what sin this is that I'm committing. I don't know which one of the deadly sins, gluttony. I think it is. Um, but I'm living it. I'm living it,
Nice.
baby. I'm living it.
Okay.
I have nothing to worry about. I am a ginger. My soul is going nowhere. Um,
Well, I mean, it doesn't exist, right?
exactly,
That's the
exactly.
theory.
Yeah, exactly. That's the shtick of it. So I can
Yeah.
sin as much as I want,
Okay.
um, and
I
I
hope that
stick
works
by
out for
that.
you. Yeah.
David,
Hello, David. How
Hey,
are you?
good.
What's on your hat, dude?
Serious?
I can't tell from here.
is that an eager beaver?
Hey, first of all, I wore this in Boston pretty much the whole time we were together. But that's the Niagara Ice Dogs logo. It's
Oh,
their
okay. I did see that when we were in Boston, but I can't see it now. Like I can't make
local
it out.
junior hockey team.
Nice. Oh, okay, there we go.
Well, that's pretty fun.
Yeah, all the draft picks there playing junior hockey. It's called the Ontario Hockey League. It's part of a larger league called the Canadian Hockey League, and it's the best hockey in the world because it costs $20 to get in, and they're kids, so they're like age 17 to 21, and they're fucking crazy. Like
And they
they're
have something
just
to fight for,
half of them are trying to get in the NHL. A
right?
couple of them are already in the NHL or like they've already signed contracts. And then some of them are just trying to get like jobs after they age out. So they're just like, they're insane. And
Yep.
it's just some of the best sports that you can see. So yeah, I support Niagara Ice Dogs as
Woot
much
woot.
as I can. So
I've been to a few of those types of games, not in Niagara, but in the U.S., mostly in Cincinnati, actually. And they're so good. They're so like the players are sometimes good, sometimes not, but like they're all trying or just having the time of their life. And either way, it makes entertaining hockey.
this league it's called the Ontario Hockey League, but it actually has a couple American teams.
Okay.
Erie Otters. Connor McDavid, you
Yeah.
name. He played for the Erie Otters. Plymouth has a team,
Okay.
the Plymouth Whalers. Saginaw, they have a team.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's bled over into the no. So Toronto Marlies, Radek. Come on, man. Oh man. So Radek's from Toronto. He should really know this. The Toronto Marlies, they're a farm team of the Toronto Maple Leafs. So when the Maple Leafs have injured players and they need to call up like pros, they will call up from their farm team. So the OHL is juniors. They're young players who are filtering in. So not
Yeah.
the same.
When do the Toronto Moose Knuckles play?
So there are actually several teams with there's moose heads, there's just the moose. So you need to be more specific about which.
What about
team
the
you're
knuckle?
referring to. There's no moose knuckles, but
Oh, I've seen plenty.
there was a team called the Growlers, the St. John Growlers, and I think they're in the league that Radek is referring to. And that's funny because in the 70s, a woman who had foregone grooming in certain areas, apparently that was known as a growler. So it's kind of funny to name a team after that sort of thing. But
Seems pretty similar to the whole moose knuckle thing when you say it
yeah,
like that.
it's
Yeah.
moose knuckle adjacent, definitely.
I would love to be moose knuckle adjacent, or even across the room. Just
In the same mall
yeah,
or in the same bowling alley, maybe that's
on the
more
same block,
appropriate. Yeah.
in the same Walgreens.
You know they're shutting down all the. No, it's not Walgreens.
CVS.
Rite Aid. CVS.
No,
Rite
no,
Aid.
no, no. It is Rite Aid because we
Yeah.
have 2 in our town that are getting shut down. I
Yeah.
really hope Walgreens buys that place on Main Street, Ben. It's a nice place.
Yeah,
They like
not very old.
just built that shit.
I mean, it's closer to. It's like 10 years old, but in the scheme of.
Main Street.
Well, in the scheme of, I was going to say, I don't know, pharmacy type stores that are standalone still. It's pretty new.
Yeah.
Boys, I'm tired this week.
Tired of what?
I'm just worn out. My job is not like I'm blessed that I don't have a manual labor job because I'm old and broken already, and I'm not that old. But mentally taxing. I'm just done.
Yeah.
And it's only Tuesday. But it's just like a continuous strain. But I like my job to a large extent. It's, I'm tired. That's all I'm saying.
I get it, broski.
Yeah.
I've been working them long hours too, dog.
Yeah.
It ain't fun. Shit ain't sweet. If I wouldn't have slept in this morning, I would be feeling the same way.
Yeah. I slept in this morning. Not like overslept, but I definitely I woke up like 20 minutes after I usually do and was in a panic. So like I didn't even get the benefit of that extra 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It didn't deter the rest of my day, but it did make me wake up feeling a little extra anxiety than normal.
I got something for that.
I explicitly remember waking up, sitting up out of bed, turning off my alarm. I was like, oh, I just need to stretch. And I laid down the stretch. And then I woke up 20 minutes later again.
You needed the sleep, big dog.
I guess so. I could always sleep. People assume that because I like to stay up late that I don't really like to sleep. And I guess I don't like to sleep. But like I can sleep a lot if I want to.
Been known to sleep.
I've been known to sleep once or twice in the day.
Have an eep.
A little eepy. This is the HP podcast. We talk about all sorts of stuff, but mostly we talk about video games. Well, I don't know if mostly, but most consistently we talk about video games, I would say. If you want to support us, you can go over to patreon.com/handsomephantom and sign up for as little as $1 a month and help support you boys here doing the HP work. You can also hang out with us at Discord at handsomephantom.com/Discord and chill with the boys and girls if you like. A little note, we'll announce this on the Discord and everything. But normally with the Patreon, I say, we're live every Tuesday night. The show goes up off our audio feeds on Thursday mornings around 11. We're actually going to be moving the night we are live, which maybe we need to think about moving the day the show comes out on free feeds. I don't know how that works. But because of some different schedules that have adjusted, we're going to be moving the podcast. Yeah, Brandon, I wasn't like trying to protect the innocent or anything. I was just shorthanding it. We're going to be moving the show to Wednesday nights at 7:00. We should be fairly consistent with that unless there's some kind of showcase or something like that. But that will help clear up the schedules for everybody to make sure that Brandon can always be here and not have to, like, with your work schedule, Brandon, it's a little, it rotates. So Wednesdays, we're pretty sure are going to be clear for the foreseeable future.
I will always have that off unless something drastically changes with my job.
Alec calls, right?
Bro, listen. All right, listen.
How is Alec, by the way?
Listen, he's good, and his girlfriend's very good as well. Yeah. Unless Alec
it
calls,
should be
yes,
noted
correct.
that last week Brandon missed the show, and it was not due to his work schedule. He chose not to be here after he suggested we move the show to Wednesday. But going forward, Brandon will be here on Wednesdays, so we're moving the show. We moved heaven and earth to get there.
We didn't take any digs at you last week, by the way, when you weren't here.
That's okay.
So
I'm honestly insulted. But now that this is officially being moved, and I know that it's officially being moved, this will be the plan every Wednesday, no matter what. So that was like before we had made the official switch, and the plans were already predated. You know what I mean? I can't just bail on my boy. I can't, man.
No,
But I
just
can
your
bail
two
on you
boys.
too. Yeah, I can bail on you too.
Anyway, Radic asked, will it be recorded via Switch 2 game chat?
Yes.
Yes, but also no. Nothing else about the show will change except for we will be live on Wednesdays, recording the show Wednesdays. And I'm assuming to still, you guys let me know out there if it's important to you to still get the show a day early for patrons, like a day earlier than it goes live on Patreon or regular feeds. Let me know. We haven't actually nailed that down, but yeah,
Radic, if you up your pledge to our Patreon to $500 a month, we will absolutely do it on Switch 2 Game Chat.
yeah, that's fair.
And
I'd say
within
that's
3 months, we will all be doing it.
I I um I think that most people who support us do so because they want to support us, not because they're getting the show potentially a day early. Especially now that we have the live stream when we're recording it. So I don't know if that's important to people, but let me know so we can adjust appropriately.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, we absolutely appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you. Thank you.
Let's talk about some video game stuff. Summer Games Fest was this past week, and there was a lot of stuff talked about. We are not going to go over it all because we don't have that much time, and most of you have already heard it 14 times by this point, or you watched it live or whatever. But let's go through and just pull out some things that we were very interested in, boys. Oh wait, we got to get to this. Hulk Hogan says, "Well, let me tell you something, brother. Handsome Phantomania has been to the top of the highest mountains due to the power of the Phantomaniacs, Jack." Thank you for the $5 super chat, Hulk Hogan. Appreciate it. Derek says, podcast recorded during a Mario Kart knockout. If you get knocked out of the race, you're knocked off the pod.
Yep,
Honestly, the problem with doing that is it would incentivize me to lose faster some weeks, and other weeks I would be like competing for the toughest. I'm just saying, you don't want to give anybody an easy out. I'm pretty good at Mario Kart. Dave would be off immediately because he has no intentions on getting a Switch 2 anytime soon. And Brandon, I'd be the only one standing, and we can't have that either.
I'm okay at Mario Kart.
Yeah, but you don't have a Switch, so Switch 2.
Womp womp.
Benji says, if your Phantomania lasts and more than an hour and a half, please consult a doctor. Yes, we do advise that. Dave, what's something? Well, let's get high overall thoughts on the Summer Games Fest, and by that we're talking about specifically Jeff Keighley's birthday bash, the 2-ish hour press conference that Keighley hosts every year. That's called Summer Games Fest. Not all the surrounding activities.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This year kind of had me missing the traditional E3 format. I felt like, the glory days of having Microsoft, Sony, and then EA and Ubisoft. I think Bethesda had their own show a couple times. That was pretty cool, but this one just kind of seemed to, nothing really jumped out the way that I kind of expect it to. And we have these directs and these showcase peppered throughout the years now, or throughout the year, and like the narrative going into it, especially from our audience, is like, just go in with low expectations and you'll be fine. But I think the one area where it's like, we should have, not necessarily low expectations, but some expectations are with Summer Games Fest. And this year I was just kind of left a little wanting. There was a lot of stuff that we saw that was cinematic only trailers, stuff without release dates, stuff where it's like, okay, I'll see this now and I may not see it again for like 2 years. And I don't like that because I feel like we've gotten away from that a lot over the past several years. So I don't know. This year just kind of had me yearning a little bit for the glory days of E3.
Brandon, what do you think?
I thought it was fine. I thought it was too long, which is what I usually think about it. And I mostly agree with Dave. I was just so excited to be watching a press conference this time. I think it was just the mood I was in that day. I didn't come away from it disappointed, but as David mentioned, my expectations were already at rock bottom. So I think I was just happy for that reason. I think the more I see Jeff Keighley on stage, and I think he's a fine guy. I think he's doing great things for our industry. I'm kind of getting sick of seeing him a little bit. Like, I don't know. He's just like cringe isn't quite the right word, but like he. Do you guys know when SpongeBob becomes boring? Do you guys know that episode of SpongeBob?
No.
Did you guys? Okay. Or when he becomes normal. I don't know. It's just like so safe. There's no like pizzazz. And of course everything looks beautiful. The production value's high. I'm not saying that. It's just like so corporate and like I don't know. Needs to be a little pizzazz in there, I think. We saw some good games. I thought there was some decent stuff there, some stuff I wasn't expecting. But to Dave's point as well, a lot of 2026s, like a lot. And you know, a lot of non-gameplay showing things as well. Even things that we've already seen gameplay for that had non-gameplay trailers. And I'm like, why did you pay all this money to be here if you're just going to show us a cinematic? Like, I don't get it. But yeah, I thought it was fine. I enjoyed watching it, but I didn't think anything insane happened this show. For me, a couple surprises. We'll get into it here in a minute. But Ben, what do you think?
I was definitely higher on last week's PlayStation showcase or state of play, which is funny because I don't really hardly ever play my PlayStation anymore. But I thought it had some better showings and obviously some stuff that was going to be elsewhere. I'd say the games themselves excited me more. I'm forever an optimist with Keeley, just thinking that, like, I'm glad he's there. I like his shows, even if they're not great. Like, I like the pomp and circumstance of it. So, with that said, like, there wasn't a ton that jumped out at me. And I didn't get to watch the whole thing live. I had an event I had to get to that night, which I'll talk about later. But I watched a decent little bit of it and then caught the highlights later. And there was some stuff that interested me. And ultimately, like, whether the games are exciting or not is somewhat up to him, but also not. Like, if nobody has a game to hand him or pay him to hand him, then he can't present it. But what was there I was fine with. Call me a Keeley apologist if you like, but I'm always just like, yeah, it was good. I mean, I never really hate his shows. Even the ad awards, you know, at the end of the year, the ad awards, even those, like, I'm like,
The Gillette Awards.
yeah, I'm like, this is pretty good. Like, we don't have a lot of stuff like this. I appreciate it when I see it. So, well, with that said, Dave, what jumped out at you? Any games or announcements that really made you perk up?
Atomic Heart 2 really surprised me. I thought, considering the ambitiousness of a combination of the ambitiousness of the original plus the reception of the original, I was surprised to see that we got not one but two games announced coming for the Atomic Heart 2 universe. But I mean, you know, we talk about it a lot that new IP is a risk, and this was a very risky game. So it's great to see that Mundfish has the financial backing to take another kick at the can with this one. And what they showed looked really, really good. So I was also intrigued by the way that Keeley described it. He described it as a spiritual successor. So I'm wondering if that means, are they hitting the reset button with this? I mean, they're clearly calling it Atomic Heart 2. So I'm kind of wondering, like, is this a direct sequel or is it going to take the story in a different direction? One of the things that happened when the original came out was a lot of people hated the protagonist because he was just a dickhead. I would love it if they doubled down and made him even more of a dickhead for the sequel, and just like Trevor-esque from GTA. But in any case, that was a big surprise, and my interest was piqued on that. So I think I may have to give the original a second shot. I know, Brandon, you played through that game to completion, and you ended up enjoying it quite a bit. So yeah. That's kind of the first that jumped out for me.
Yeah, I remember liking it, but kind of being happy that it was done by the end. I think Mundfish has a lot going on right now. Not only do we have Atomic Heart 2, not only do we have their Cube VR, but also Mundfish adjacent is this game Ill. It maybe wasn't the top of the top for me, but just to kind of go off the back of what you're saying, they got a lot cooking. And I'm a little hesitant having played Atomic Heart 1 because I remember the feelings I had about the feelings we all had about Atomic Heart. You can go back and listen to the episodes about the first one and how good they are at making the game look really good. And then the game comes out and it's good, but not as good. The art direction is phenomenal. The execution, phenomenal. But at the end of the day, the game was kind of lackluster in some ways. The shooting was solid. So I'm hoping they kind of really learn from all that and, build upon it. I mean, that's kind of the idea, right? But going back to Ill, I think Ill looks really cool. It kind of is in the same vein. It's under some sort of Munfish co-op or some sort of Munfish money or something. I don't know. Collective, they called it or something like that. But I'm all about the gore, and it looks just very visceral and very gory and creepy and scary. And those are all things that I like. So yeah, Ill stood out to me right away. Anytime you get to like kick a child, there's not enough like violence towards children in video games. There truly isn't. So the fact that they're willing to put that up front in the trailer shows me that there's going to be more. There's going to be so much more to come. So Ill's probably the first one I thought of, and it's just because I'm going off the back of what Dave's saying. It's definitely not my like best of the show, but I wanted to kind of piggyback off that. So
Yeah, it's interesting because for a long time, Atomic Heart was like one of my most anticipated games, and then I just didn't play it when it came out, and I still haven't played it.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
And then you guys talked about it, and I was like, I don't know if I want to play it, but
it's fine.
I do think it's cool. I would say that game probably made a lot more money than we think it did. The reception wasn't great, and like the reviews weren't great at first. But they were that was a Game Pass game, I'm pretty sure, and it's had a long tail, and like the C games, like the C tier games, end up selling for a long time, even if not at full price, and they make a lot of money. So for them to have that backing doesn't really shock me. I would say as far as the spiritual successor thing, like I'd say they just made a game within the same world with a different character or plot.
Yeah,
right.
And they still got the sexy robot ladies, Shaman.
Lots of sexy robots.
Yeah. I find it interesting when games make a sequel, or I'm sorry, they make for instance, I'm just making this up as an example. They make an Atomic Heart 2, but it's actually a prequel. And like that's not uncommon for games to come out with a second numbered game, but it actually be a prequel to it. So
or different altogether.
Or different altogether,
like,
yeah. Like the BioShock games, for instance.
Right.
Yeah. Are we going to get harassed by the vending machine again? Edward Walton asks.
That was in Atomic Heart. The vending machine was just like a dickhead to you. It was actually really great. It was one of the funny parts of the game. It's just kind of boring. Like you get bogged down so much through it. So
yeah. Brandon, what about you? What's something you saw that you liked?
Something I have a little bit of hope for, and I'm going to kind of pair these together because they both fall under the umbrella of Souls-likes. Mortal Shell 2. I knew as soon as we started getting into it. I did play a little of Mortal Shell 1, and it was relatively well received. I think it played too clunky for me, and that's a lot of the problem with Souls-like games that aren't from Liza P and the Neos being kind of the standout of the bunch. But Mortal Shell 2, I'm looking forward to all these sequels for the games that I didn't like very much. Much like Atomic Heart 2, I'm looking forward to what they've learned from their first experience and hoping it will more align to what I'm interested in. Once again, it wasn't an art style problem. It necessarily wasn't a game loop problem with Mortal Shell 1. It just played how I didn't like. It was like Lords of the Fallen 1. Like it just didn't play right. And in addition to that, I mentioned Neo 3. I honestly thought they were not going to make any more of these games because I don't know how well the second one sold, but I feel like it just kind of like flew. It was like here and gone really fast. I thought it was great, and enthusiasts of the genre think it's a really great game. I thought it was a little bogged down with some of its mechanics. I think that if you really put a ton of time into that game, it can be super enriching just to kind of understand all the dynamics there. So I'm hoping they kind of scale it back a little bit. But undoubtedly, Team Ninja is really, really, really talented, and they are good at making games like this. Neo 1, I have over 100 hours in it. I love that game to death. So yeah, I guess kind of my two Souls likes of the show. And there was more. I mean, it seems pretty popular to make Souls like games right now for a good reason. They're very popular. They're selling really well. But those were the two big ones for me.
Yeah, when I saw Mortal Shell, I was like, I don't know if this game's going to be as cool as it looks. I don't know if this game is going to be as cool to play as it looks, but it looks real good. And I remember Mortal Shell people being like, meh, they're pretty good, but not anything to write home about, I guess.
Right.
So, yeah. For me, anybody know what the most exciting one to me is? Anybody want to have a
Sonic
guess?
Racing.
It was not Sonic Racing.
Jurassic World Evolutions 3.
It was Scott Pilgrim.
I actually thought about putting that as the first thing I was going to say just so I could swoop it out from under you, but I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done that to you, Ben.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I never do that.
Never. You've never done that in any scenario in my entire life. Scott Pilgrim EX. It looks like Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game. But it's a beat 'em up. It's a online brawler, 4 players, very River City Ransom-esque, just like the first game. And there's not a lot to say about it because we don't know a whole lot, but I'm just happy it's getting another game. That was the hope whenever they re-released the last one and got it stranded off of the 360, was that eventually they'd make another one. And here they are. So I don't really have a lot to say. I did see that Brian O'Malley is going to be doing an entirely new original story, but the story, I mean, I love Scott Pilgrim as a story, but the appeal of the first game was never about the story for me, so
Right.
that's okay. It should be a lot of fun. Dave, back to you.
Chronicles Medieval.
Mm.
Anytime you have Tom Hardy narrating something, I'm paying attention. But this game actually got me excited. I don't know if you saw, it was mostly CG, but they did show kind of a snippet at the end that was clearly in engine. And this is a very intriguing looking, vast action RPG. Create your own character. Looks very gritty, very medieval. I think if you were into like Kingdom Come Deliverance, then this is something that you should pay attention to. Or if you were into any of sort of the large scale strategy games set in similar periods, then yeah, and those games are not things that I'm normally into, but something about this trailer caught my attention. So yeah, Chronicles Medieval, which is coming out next year. Apparently doesn't have a publisher, so technically an indie, but that's one that I'll definitely keep my eye on. So yeah.
Brandon, back to you.
I also want to shout out the Sonic guy taking a dig at Mario Kart.
Yeah, what was up with that?
It was funny is what it was. But
It was funny, but it's like it's Mario. Of course it's not crossplay. I don't know.
yeah, it's better.
Yeah. Brandon, back to you.
RE9,
Okay.
let's go, baby. I don't even need to be sold on it, and there's not even much to say. I mean, the setting is cool. More of a normal city RE2, RE3 vibes, which is good. Yeah, I'm happy. Dude, I'm so happy. I've been waiting for this ever since Village. I've wanted to play more. I didn't play the DLC, so I guess I haven't wanted to play it that bad. But I usually don't play DLCs for games. I usually play the base game, and that's it. So, yeah, it looks great.
Brandon, fortunately, like you'll have just gotten off the back of playing all the other RE games, so you'll be ready for this one.
I know, that's crazy, bro. I'm so close to finishing.
Yeah.
So was the girl from the trailer, was that Ethan's daughter? Like, was that Rose? Do we get confirmation of that, or?
I was thinking that. I'm not like canonically familiar enough with the naming of them to know. I'm more of a a gameplay guy, so when names get thrown in there, I just get bogged down and rely on other people to know that
You
sort
can
of
just
thing.
say I don't know who you're talking about. So the main character from Village and 7 was Ethan, and he had a daughter who played a
Mhm.
pretty big role in the DLC for Village. And I
Right.
think she kind of looks like that girl.
A little bit.
Yeah. Anyways.
Cool. Next up for me, the Game of Thrones strategy game that they announced. What was it called? War for Westeros. Game of Thrones has had like a few games, and most of them have been mobile, and none of them have really piqued my attention enough to check out. This one I think will. I've seen some screenshots that they posted. It looks very like top down, or what's the word I'm looking for? Like sideways down, RTS almost. I don't know if it is an RTS, but it's the feeling it gives, and they haven't revealed a whole lot about it. I just know that I like Game of Thrones, and a game that looks like it's a game I would play in that universe is pretty cool. They posted some screenshots that looked neat, but of course we don't know a whole lot about it. It's not launch until next year. They didn't even give a time frame. But I like Game of Thrones and I like strategy games, so that's enough for me to be excited about it. Do we want to do more? Or do we want to move on?
Do we want to do like dishonorable mentions?
Sure. If you have
Before
one.
we do that, I just wanted to build on the RE9 thing. So the reason why I had highlighted this is just because they had mentioned that something about taking the franchise in a new direction. So after Resident Evil 6, we got into like the Biohazard Village style. So I'm very curious. And if they say a bold new direction, that to me doesn't mean they're going back to what, RE4 and the remakes have been.
Sure.
So I'm really curious to see like what direction they're going to take this in. And like, I think one of the criticisms of Village was it was almost too actiony. So is RE9 going to be super scary? I think it's coming next year, so I think we'll have a deep dive fairly soon. But yeah, that's one thing that intrigued me about it.
Nice. Last call.
Did you have something dishonorable specifically you wanted to call out, Brandon?
No. I just wanted to slander Sonic.
Go for
I'm
it.
always
Fine.
about no. That was it. I just anytime
Okay.
Sonic is able to be slandered. Also, this is not dishonorable. PI for hire. We've seen a lot about this game.
Yeah.
It does look awesome.
It does.
But we've seen so much about it leading up to this that it's just like I'm gonna blow over it. But still looks great.
Radic asked, go ahead.
I thought it was dishonorable that the second game of the show was a Fortnite event. It is a cool looking Fortnite event being Star Wars, but I also thought
No.
couldn't this have been put somewhere in the middle? I'm sure he was paid to put it towards
Yeah, I
the
was
front of the
gonna
show,
say.
but in any case,
He got put all the money for that to be the second thing. He's probably
Jeff
like
has a good relationship with Epic.
yeah,
so there's that.
an epic relationship.
Radic asked if we had any thoughts on the cringe Splitgate 2 part. You guys don't have to comment on this if you don't want to, but I thought it was like at worst corny and at best an ad. I don't really have a problem with people crapping on Call of Duty devs, or not the devs, but the games, because I think that all of us, if we're honest, have said something similar, even though we buy it every year and play it and have a lot of fun. I think the only reason people are mad is because of the hat, and I don't even think I've seen so many meme hats like that that didn't even like come across to me as a political statement. So I didn't really have a problem with it, other than that I didn't think it was funny, but I wasn't like I didn't understand the ire it got either, because there's just so much crapping on the biggest games in the world. It didn't bother me. I don't know. That's my perspective on it. But Imagine Dragons playing in the trailer was the thing that made it actually
so
corny.
Cringy.
Yes.
It's so cringy.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Did you guys?
one
Go
more
ahead.
thing before we move on, because Jericho just mentioned it. Acts of Blood. Please go wishlist this game right now.
Oh.
It's a really cool like Sifu / Sleeping Dog style beat 'em up being made by one guy in Indonesia. His name is Fajrul. Go on Steam and wishlist it, even if you don't want it, because this guy deserved it. Which made me wonder how we got in the show. We talked about how the Game Awards, like that story came out about how much you have to pay for a trailer in the Game Awards. Makes me think that Jeff is handpicking some of these things a little bit more.
Well, yeah, in the story about the Game Awards, they said that he lets some in without fee, and also, like just picks some that he thinks look cool. I don't know if he does it or his team does, but
that's a good highlight. But
I really think, and I mean, maybe I'm being a little bit naive here. I know how this industry works, and I'm still probably being naive about it. But like, I would think that like they have to handpick some stuff that they really want to show, and they get a good opportunity. Like you have Resident Evil willing to put their game in your show. You're not charging them. That's a bit, maybe they literally did, but like that's a big announcement to have at your show that draws eyes to your show, that then makes it worthwhile for other people to pay to be in your show.
Right.
So in my opinion, he doesn't. I don't think he charges for everything. But yeah, that one's interesting that it's just a one-person studio.
Did you guys get debated by the Call of Duty trailer?
No.
I really did not think it was Call of Duty at the beginning. And then was very disappointed when it was.
That's a good segue into the Microsoft showcase.
Yeah, was that at Summer Games Fest?
That was Microsoft.
Okay, that was Microsoft.
Shit.
Yeah.
My bad. I'm getting them mixed up. There were so many shows.
Well, speaking of, Brandon, why don't you kick us off and talk about the Xbox showcase?
Yeah, it was okay. There were some surprises. I think we're going to more specifically get into one of the bigger things that was kind of a big surprise for me, the handheld. I really wasn't expecting an Xbox branded handheld. High on Life 2, I'd say, was probably my biggest thing for the whole show. I'm probably not going to get the hardware. That was the biggest surprise. But as far as games go, I really, really, really liked the first High on Life. I just thought it was kind of short. I thought they did amazing things, that games aren't doing. I don't find a lot of games very funny, but I found myself laughing at High on Life. So when a game can do that, it kind of stands out to me. So I'm really eager to see how they continue that. And if there's going to be any sort of difference. I can't remember how close the Justin Roiland thing was to the release of this game.
Pretty close.
But
like right after.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. But he was exonerated, wasn't he?
Yeah, but still,
yeah,
I'm sure there was a lot of potential changes within the company that made it, depending on how things shook up. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I will be there day one. So,
Dave, what about you?
So Outer Worlds got a lot of play in the show, both at the beginning of the show and it had its own show after the show. And I've gone blind on this, so I'm not going to talk about that, but I am excited for Outer Worlds. The first game that I really want to play, this feels like a perfect Game Pass game for me, is Keeper. This is the one where you play as like a lighthouse that sprouts legs. It's quintessentially Double Fine. And it just seemed like a really interesting game to look at. It was one of those things where I kept pausing the trailer to just kind of look at all the stuff in the background and the crazy art and how psychedelic it was. So, yeah, I think we got some decently cool stuff in the Microsoft show, but it's also always nice to see something original. And this is one that definitely jumped out to me. So Keeper is what I'm going to have my eye on.
Nice. Brandon, back to the High on Life thing. I also really enjoyed High on Life, but I just remembered that I was on track to get 100% of the achievements, which I kind of don't even care about, but when I'm close, I try for it. And I think they patched it later, but I played it early enough that there's a missable achievement at the end of the game, and you literally can't restart back at that level once you finish that level. So
Jesus,
I just gave up on that and just finished the game and moved on from there.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, it's Super Meat Boy 3D. I've been a Super Meat Boy fan since before the first one came out, and all along the way, even through the games, the Super Meat Boy branded games that I didn't really enjoy, I was still a fan because, I am. But this one looks genuinely good. 3D game with Super Meat Boy's characteristic brutal gameplay. I'm in for it. I don't know who's actually making it. I know that Tommy kind of handed over the reins after the whole Team Meat thing, but I think the brand still owns it. But either way, I'm just excited. I think Super Meat Boy is such an interesting concept, and I have really good memories of the first game from like the 2011, 2010 time period that it makes me want to keep supporting the franchise, I guess. So back to you, Brandon. Anything else?
Oh yeah, Clockwork Revolution.
Okay.
This isn't really the first time we're seeing this game. I believe we saw it another time as well. I can't remember where.
At least once or twice. Once was last year at this showcase.
But this was a very in-depth trailer. In fact, when it was going by the end, or like most of the way through, I was like, I can't believe this spot is so long for this game.
Yeah, it was like 5 minutes or so.
Yeah,
a lot of interesting facial hair in that trailer, that's for sure.
Yeah,
honestly, and maybe that's part of it. But yeah, I thought this game was cool. Anything that has any sort of time mechanic, I think, is really fun. I know Ben feels the same way. I think the whole steampunk aesthetic is cool, and we haven't got a lot of stuff like that recently, like big games. Not that we've never gotten anything, but I love the feels. It gives me a lot of like BioShock Infinite vibes. I don't know if it's just the aesthetic period, but you get to customize your own character. There's a lot of weapon customization, the whole time thing. Yeah, I'm interested to see how this plays out. And prior to this spot, I was like passingly interested. I'm like, yeah, that looks cool. Honestly, I thought it looked kind of corny the first time I saw it. But after seeing more about it and more in-depth looks at like how it plays and the art style more played out throughout the world, I'm there, man. I'm there. I'd be interested to see the reviews first, but it's a first-person shooter as well. So like by default, I'm interested at least passingly. So,
Dave, what about you?
The other one I wanted to mention was Aphelion. So Don't Nod games haven't really appealed to me in the past, but this doesn't really look a lot like what I think of when I think of Don't Nod, which is Phil. But what this game did remind me of is Deliver Us the Moon and the movie Gravity. So kind of Deliver Us the Moon with a little bit more action. So yeah, this is one that I probably going to come out like at a cheap price or obviously on Game Pass. So it's one of those that's probably going to be an easier pickup. But yeah, Aphelion was one that jumped out to me as well.
For me, the next thing was actually DLC, and I'm with Brandon. We've talked about this before. I don't really play a lot of DLC, but I really, really, really enjoyed Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and so the Order of Giants DLC was of interest to me for sure. I'm definitely going to play it and check it out. I assume that's not going to be included with Game Pass. That's going to be an extra buy. So they'll get me to sign up for a month plus buy the DLC, I'm sure, which is fine. I'm happy to play great games that I really enjoy and whatever. The interesting thing about this is that it's coming to Xbox, PS5, and PC on the same day, whereas the actual release, like the full release, was staggered. Not that surprising because it's DLC and they kind of need to capitalize on the hype if they want to sell a bunch of it. But I did find it interesting, to say the least, an interesting business model. Release the game staggered, release the DLC at the same time. Kind of makes me wish I had waited to play the main game until later so that I could then play the DLC sooner. But I digress. Anything else from this showcase before we move on to the next thing, which is also this showcase? You're muted, Brandon, or your mic's just not on, one of the two.
Yeah, I was muted. I was coughing. I thought No Ghost of the Grand looked pretty cool. I figured you'd be interested in that, Ben. It gave me like home renovation sim / power wash sim with like a story / mystery.
Yeah.
So I thought that looked pretty cool.
I remember that now, but I don't see it on this list. Oh, here it is. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it does look cool.
Yeah, it's like a home renovation. You're like spraying stuff and moving stuff around. So I would love a more sim style game to have a little bit of story intrigue to it. I feel like that's kind of a component, something like Power Wash Simulator, and that's not typically why you go there, but like
Right.
to add something to that would be really cool. So
I think my problem with it was it looked like some puzzles involved. And even though I mean, I don't dislike puzzle games, that's not why I go to games like Power Washing Sim, like you mentioned. So
Right.
for me, it actually deters from the style of game rather than adds to it. It doesn't mean I won't like it or it won't be good, but it doesn't give me like immediate must play this kind of vibes, unfortunately. What else?
Quickly, just want to shout out Grounded 2 because it's coming out in about a month. And I didn't spend much time with the first one, but the little time that I did, I enjoyed it, and I regret not spending more time with Grounded. So having a sequel might be a nice fresh start for me. But yeah, it was cool to see a sequel to a relatively well-known game coming so soon. Wasn't expecting that, but happy to see it.
Didn't we play that for a little while, Dave? And we both just died repeatedly.
Yeah, we were doing something wrong, but we found it really
Apparently,
difficult.
yeah. It is interesting because that game was in early access for so long, and then it came out, and then it feels like this is a very quick release. The other thing that's similar but not the same, Planet of Lana too. It wasn't in early access or anything, but that feels like it just came out and they just announced a sequel. I mean, I know that time moves faster now than it used to, of course, because of my age, but um, it just feels fast, which isn't a bad thing. It's just something I noticed. You guys gonna play Fallout 76 Gone Fission? In for that? Let's move on to the next thing. The ROG Xbox Ally reveal. Dave, would you mind to take this one for me?
Sure. Give me 2 seconds here, Chief. This comes from Engadget, and this was part of the showcase. But the ROG Xbox Ally handheld gaming devices are real and will be released during the 2025 holiday season. We've been hearing rumors for what feels like an eternity about Microsoft working with Asus's Republic of Gamer division on a gaming handheld device, and we got confirmation during the Xbox Game Showcase at Summer Games Fest. There are two variants of the handheld: the ROG Xbox Ally and the ROG Xbox Ally X. Microsoft has not revealed pricing for the devices yet. It stands to reason that they'll be in the same ballpark as the currently available ROG Ally systems, which cost up to $800 for the ROG Ally X or $1,100 in Canada. Details on how much the systems cost, pre-orders, accessories, and more are coming soon, the company said. The exact release date is not yet known, but the Xbox Ally and the Xbox Ally X are coming this holiday season. The handhelds will initially be available in most of the world and the US. So I'll stop there. I just want to see if there's anything more interesting. Yeah, so I don't know. This was part of the game showcase. The device has been rumored for a really long time. We started to see the Microsoft marketing strategy around everything is an Xbox, and finally got it. Brandon, is this what you were expecting out of the Microsoft handheld, or is this a bit of a surprise to you?
it is a surprise that they're partnering with somebody. I think that's the biggest surprise of all to me, the fact that they're not going to try and do something on their own. I feel like they saved a lot of costs not developing something themselves in partnering with somebody. But in turn, they make less money having to give a cut of that profit to Asus. But yeah, I've seen people get their hands on this, like reviewers at the show, and are pretty surprised. I think one of the biggest surprises, aside from it being a product that's not made directly by them necessarily, is that it is not locked down. That you are able to play on other storefronts. That's the biggest thing for me, other than it itself, is that you are going to be able to play Steam on it. I was seeing people talk about it. They've kind of streamlined it a little bit so you can do Windows stuff on it, but they've taken a lot of the unnecessary processes out from like a normal computer to kind of make it a more seamless altogether experience. So they really put a lot of thought into this, I think, between Asus and Microsoft. And I don't know. To me, it almost is giving Steam Deck a run for its money at this point, to be honest with you. And something like this, I mean, you can have Steam and Xbox stuff and God, you know what I mean? So like this is a big competition for Steam Deck, I think, and it's going to make me think twice. At some point I was considering getting a Steam Deck, but something like this, to have something that is curated like this and I can have everything more seamlessly on a machine, makes you think, man. The price is going to be the sticking point, really. That's going to be a big part of it, but I'd be really interested to hear what you think about it specifically, Ben, having a Steam Deck, because I feel like that would be the most interesting perspective.
Yeah, the Steam Deck is great. I've said for a long time, whenever Xbox says this is an Xbox, that's an Xbox, everything's an Xbox, I'm like, well, the Steam Deck isn't an Xbox. The Steam Deck is nice because you can get in there and tinker with it and play stuff from any storefront. Including Game Pass, except it just needs to be cloud. You can't natively download stuff unless you put Windows on it, and that's a whole thing. The appeal of the Xbox Ally having the ability to do all of it is pretty cool. I don't really know, like Asus hardware in the past has not been the most reliable thing or the cheapest thing when they've come out with handhelds. But I think it's cool. I think it's definitely something that I'm interested in seeing more about, but I don't think it's a device for me. Not because I wouldn't like it, but because I already have a Switch and a Steam Deck, and I'm not looking for another $1,000 handheld if we're being real. That's the most prohibitive thing about this is it's just going to be super expensive, most likely. But Dave, isn't this kind of what the ROG Ally already is? What is different about this from the ROG Ally?
Software, I guess. And it's funny, you and I were just Brandon, you weren't there because you were with Alec, but we were talking about this last week about how some early tests between Windows powered portable PCs and Steam OS powered portable PCs were pretty dreadful because of all the bloatware that came with the Windows devices. So this, I think, shows that Microsoft has been listening, because they've given us a device that runs on Windows OS, but it's what they're calling like a full screen Xbox thing. So none of the other stuff is there. So, it'll be interesting to see how it performs based on the stuff that we talked about last week. But yeah, it was a little underwhelming for me, because this is a device that's pretty much on the market. The only difference is there's a different storefront that comes preloaded on the device and an Xbox button and some grips. Other than that, we got our Xbox handheld, but it's basically something that you can already buy. So a bit of a whimper for me, because I was looking forward to seeing Microsoft's response to the Steam Deck or the Switch or some of the other devices that are out there. And what we got was something that's not proprietary. And I understand the strategy. This is a very risk-averse strategy. It also kind of aligns with Microsoft's marketing strategy, which is everything's an Xbox, so it doesn't have to be something that Microsoft sold you. But it's just a little, I don't know. It shows a lack of confidence from Microsoft in this market, which doesn't make me all that confident in spending upwards of $1,000 on the device. So I don't know. I see why they went this direction, but I'm not super excited about making this sort of investment. That's not to say I don't think it'll succeed. This market has proved to be fruitful, and it's starting to get more competitive, but it's just not really what I was hoping for personally.
I wonder if they're going to make the next Steam Deck, maybe they could do it with the current one, but I don't know. But the next Steam Deck be able to run Game Pass games natively, because it's clear that Microsoft wants their games everywhere they can possibly be, because they know that's where they're going to make the most money. And Steam is making plenty of money, but you have to think their hardware would sell better and therefore make them more money on Steam if they allowed other storefronts to be on there natively as well. But I don't know. I'm not a rocket scientist. I could be wrong. Moving on. Forza Horizon 6 has been confirmed for 2026. This comes from Traxion.gg. It says, well, it's not coming this year as many as expected, and it wasn't even unveiled during Xbox's 2025 showcase. There was one snippet confirming some Forza Horizon 6 information. Developed by Playground, which has split into two teams, one for Forza Horizon, the other for the upcoming Fable reboot. Also due in 2026. The next Forza series installment was locked in for a 2026 release date by the Chief Executive Officer of Microsoft Gaming, Phil Spencer. Looking ahead, next year marks 25 years of Xbox. It's a big milestone for the platform and the franchises you helped build and make popular. We couldn't have done this without everyone who's been with us on this journey. As we think about bringing a new generation of players to these iconic franchises, I'm excited to share that players will get to share 25 years of Xbox with a new Fable, the next Forza, Gears of War E-Day, and the return of a classic that's been with us since the beginning. It didn't mention what the classic was, but since the beginning, it's got to be Halo, right? I don't know.
Halo in Unreal 5.
The rumor is a Halo Combat Evolved remake, which is just
Another one.
Yeah.
That's going to come out on PlayStation as well. Yeah. Because obviously. Boys, you're both big into Forza. Brandon, what do you want in the new Forza?
Not a whole lot differently, if I'm going to be completely honest. I feel like they do it better than anyone else. So many games of this genre have been...
so many games.
So many games have been inspired by Forza. Everybody wants to be Forza, even Ubisoft. But no, I just want them to do more of the same. They've had a really good direction with these games from the beginning, and they've really grown upon each other every single time while still staying true to like the Horizon mantra. The last one coming out, I was very disappointed, and I've been very vocal about it on this podcast. My disappointment with Playground Games being working on Fable. But there's two teams, and I didn't know that. I don't know if that wasn't public information or it's now public. I just didn't know it. I don't know. Either way, I'm very happy about this. I don't got much I want different. I'm going to be honest with you. I just want more of the same. I even went back to play not the last Horizon, but the one before that, which is 5. And I didn't like it as much as 6. I'm getting them backwards. Anyway, what I'm saying is that they've very progressively built upon each other, and so I'm confident that whatever they have going forward is going to be good.
Dave, what about you? What are your thoughts?
You know what the fun about talking about an upcoming unrevealed Forza Horizon game is where's it going to be? You know, it's a lot like talking about Assassin's Creed games. So we've had Colorado, we've had Australia, south of France / Italy. That was the best one for me. UK, Mexico. It's got to be Japan, right? Like
I was just thinking all of Japan.
Japan was heavily rumored for the last one. Then we got Mexico. And
we got Mexico.
I think
so sad.
Hold on, I wrote a joke for
sorry.
this one. Listen, no. I think it would be Prefect for Forza Horizon.
Hey, let's go, baby.
Perfect.
Hey.
Yeah. Anyways, you think about like how ingrained Japanese car culture is in kind of world car culture. The varying terrains, how you can kind of use Japanese just culture itself in like different events and stuff like that. I just think it's perfect. The only other thing I can think of is like Southeast Asia, but they've done so much in the Western world that like I don't know how you couldn't do it in somewhere in Asia. So my bet is on Japan, and I put a lot of money on that.
Yeah. Oh, how much?
1,400 loonies.
If anybody in the Discord wants to take Dave up on that,
yeah, at the Best Buy in Hamilton, Ontario, that's how much it'll cost you to get to a ROG Ally X. So with tax, 13%.
They make such good cars. It has to be Japan. It was sad when it was Mexico. They said, like Donald, Mexico. Don't make it in Mexico. I said, I can't.
Oh boy, excuse me. Okay, let's move on. Yay, Forza. I like Forza. MindsEye Studio execs depart Build a Rocket Boy 1 week before the game's debut. This is from Eurogamer. And it said the chief legal officer and the chief financial officer at MindsEye developer Build a Rocket Boy have left the company a week before the game's release. Writing on LinkedIn, former CLO said he was proud of what the team has accomplished during his time there, stating that during his tenure, the company had doubled in size to over 450 employees. Gardner did not give a reason for his departure. In addition, Build a Rocket Boy CEO Paul Bland has also left the company after 2 years. I'm sorry, I said CEO. I meant CFO, Paul Bland. Over on the MindsEye Discord, many have expressed concern that the two key members of Build a Rocket Boy team are leaving so close to the game's release. As a reminder, it's launching on June 10th, which is today, across PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. It could be a sign of very troubling internal affairs, or they don't want to deal with potential legal issues if MindsEye comes out broken, one member has speculated. Now, this article came out on the 3rd, which is 1 week ago today. And today the game came out, and guess what? It was very broken and is started out with extremely negative reviews thus far. Dave, you think there's any connection here, or you think this is just like their work was done on this game and they got a better offer elsewhere and they left? I don't know.
I think when C-suite employees leave, if this was in the middle of development, I'd be like, meh, they're not really that connected to the everyday direction of the game. But when it's this close to a game launching that already had some weird shit happening leading up to its launch, there was that thing with like the co-CEO saying that some of the negative press that was coming out of the game pre-release was a conspiracy and someone was funding people to say bad things about it. And then these two guys leave, and then the game comes out, very little promotion, despite being in a state of play not long ago. And it sucks. It's not a good game. So, I watched somebody play it on stream today, and it looks like a pretty dull game. It looks like a game that will just kind of come and go. But with everything else that's happened, it looks like the studio may come and go as well, just as quickly as the game did. So it's too bad, because I mean, when I saw this game at the state of play, I thought Brandon hated it. I remember this, and I was like, this could be interesting, but once again, I was wrong. So, yeah, it's something stinks, something fishy's going on here.
Something about it stinks.
Brandon,
I knew this game was gonna fucking suck. I knew it, dude. From the first time I saw this game, I said this game looks fucking dumb.
The ginger hath foretold.
Looks dumb. I'm not right about very many things, so I'm gonna take this. I thought it looked bad from the beginning, and I'm not surprised. People leaving at this point in the development, I agree with Dave completely. I feel like they're getting while the getting's good. This is like breaking up with somebody before they break up with you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's get away from the stink while you can. That's how I read this. And this thing's been stinking from the start. I could smell it a mile away.
I really don't remember what my thoughts were whenever we first saw it, but I forgot about it. And I remember seeing it, but I forgot about it entirely until very recently. And then today, I was just scrolling down through Steam's front page like I do most days and saw it, and I was like, uh-oh. And then I saw some friends or people I follow on Twitter like hyped that it was coming out, and I was like, that ain't good, because of those messages, those like tweets were already 6 or 8 hours old, and the game was in like severe negative reviews. So that's tough. I'm gonna hope for the sake of everybody at that studio that these guys left for other reasons, but it seems like they probably left because they knew the game was gonna be a bomb. So, and not a bomb like in the good way, bomb in the bad way. Man, I know there's scenarios where you just got to get a game out and then you'll work on it as it goes. And I know there's scenarios like where that makes sense for a game. But as broken as this game looks, it's hard for me to understand the mindset. Like, are they saying with 450 employees on the only game that we know of that they were working on, that they were like, there's nothing more we can do to fix this game? Didn't they damage the entire future of the studio by putting out a game that they had to have known was broken? Like, I don't know. Really questionable decision. And I guess we don't know the behind the scenes, but I can't imagine it's good. And that's all the news we got, boys. That's all she wrote. Let's talk about what we've been playing. Dave, you said yours was going to be very short and to the point. So
Yeah,
hit me with it.
I've been playing more Metroid Prime 2. Not much more new to say there. I've also been playing something that I can't really talk about right now, so you can briskly move past me to something more interesting.
I will move you past you like a smelly person on a bus. Brandon.
So I've played more Elden Ring Night Rain. I only have 2 bosses left. I've not played probably in about a work week. I don't know, 4 or 5 days. Um, Not a whole lot to say here. I think all the bosses are wonderful, and the gameplay continues to be top notch. So, the more interesting thing that I
Wait,
have,
wait. I want to get a perspective. Have you mostly been playing Night Rain with randoms?
yeah, all the times that I've been able to play, no one's been on. So I've
Yeah.
been almost exclusively playing with,
I've just opted not to play if there's not someone on that I can play with
yeah.
because but what's that experience been like? Have you had
Um,
decent companions or
Yeah, I feel like it's a really mixed bag, which is kind of a nothing answer. But I've been really surprised at some of my runs, to be honest with you. Like a couple of them, I was very close to going the whole way through the night and winning with only 2 people. Like we'll get someone that leaves within the first 5 minutes because somebody dies. And then there was one run where me and this guy went to the bottom of the volcano, which is where you can get a legendary armament of your choice. And we ended up getting cannons. We both had cannons, and somehow this weird fucked up build we both got because we were balls to the wall. I mean, there was 2 of us, so we did the high risk, high reward, and it actually rewarded us pretty well. We were very close to beating it by ourselves. Well, with 2 people instead of 3. So, yeah, but it's very mixed bag, truthfully. I feel like once you get into the later bosses, I feel like the pool of people I was getting was better, but I was also playing pretty close um to launch when I was doing that, closer than now. Um you're not locked behind any specific boss, but I feel like for the most part that I've seen people try and go in order because that's usually what makes sense. There is some stuff that I don't like about the game. One thing specifically is how they have done the character quests, um, and how one person at a time can be doing them in your party. And so the matchmaking is very fucked. Having had to play with random people, I'm pretty much at the mercy of trying to find people that A, are in my region, have a decent ping, and are not also trying to do a quest. And everyone's trying to do a quest. So I would just sit there for 15, 20 minutes and not get anybody and, you know, tuck my tail and take my quest off and I would matchmake instantly. So that's very annoying. I hope they fix that. It'd be as simple as letting multiple people run quest at once. It might fuck up the way shit spawns in the map, but they at least need to figure out something with the matchmaking to help it kind of speed itself along because waiting for that long, I don't have any problem waiting, but it's a lot. So yeah, I'd encourage you to try it. It's there has been some bullshit runs, Ben, but in lieu of not playing it at all, I, you know, figured it was better than nothing. So, but that and I've not really expressed interest in this game much aside from thinking that it looks really cool. I went out on a whim and was downloading games on my new MacBook Air that were very small in size because I was confident that those games could run on my device that was not really made for gaming. It's mostly made for other things, very light work stuff. And I downloaded Dredge and I started playing it. And in the past week, I beat it. It's really just out of nowhere. I knew this was a great game. Everybody has talked very highly of it. It's reviewed very well. But yeah, it fit this perfect little cozy, kind of scary at times, but mostly just like relaxing feels. The story is kind of there and doesn't matter, but the gameplay loop is really fun. Um, it was on my Steam family, and so I didn't have to buy it. But today I actually bought it. I had beaten the game and then I bought it. But I bought the deluxe edition. So I bought it today. I beat the ice DLC. I can't remember what it's called. And there's an oil rig DLC that I'm assuming I'm probably about halfway done with. They weren't very expensive and they're not very long. I beat the one DLC in like less than one sitting, but yeah, would recommend highly. And I want to find more games in this vein. I think I'm going to go back to Dave the Diver after this. But
Yep.
yeah, it's great. It's kind of out of nowhere. It's seriously awesome. Like, I wanted to support this dev.
Yeah. Yeah, Dave really enjoyed it, and I played it for probably 4 hours or so, and I enjoyed it. I don't remember why I quit playing it, but I didn't quit playing it because I didn't like it. I think the game's really solid, and I love these little. I love small games like this, indies that just do something unique and do it really well. And like, it's a pretty simple game,
Oh, yeah,
but it's done so well that it feels like a much bigger game to me.
absolutely.
For me, I've been playing Night Rain a little bit as well. I haven't played a whole lot this past week, but I did play a couple sessions. And again, I've been only playing with people I know, which I don't know. Like, I hear people talk about playing it with randoms, and some people, of course, don't have the any choice but to play with randoms. But for me, it's just like I like it, but I don't need to play it so badly that I don't want to play with my friends. I'd rather play something else that's solo or whatever. So I don't have a lot more to say about that other than that I beat only the one boss. I think I've only done like 10 runs total, but I beat the one boss, the first boss, and then I'm on the second one now, and I've gotten it down to like 4% health multiple times and ended up getting wiped. So it is what it is. The second thing, I got my Switch 2 last week and installed stuff that night and then didn't get to play it for like 2 days. So I've only had a couple days with it, but been playing Mario Kart World because for some reason Nintendo launches systems with only like one first party game to really play. Um, Mario Kart World is great. I've seen a lot of trash talk on it, and I don't understand it because if you like Mario Kart, there's no reason not to like this game. It does everything that Mario Kart has ever done, and it does it better, in my opinion. It makes the worlds more versatile, it makes the tracks have a lot more options to be able to find alternative routes or do crazy stuff with physics or whatever. It introduces new power ups that are a lot of fun. And then it introduces some different modes. I can't remember the name of it, endurance mode, something like that, where you're racing through a bunch of different courses that are connected, and you have to consistently be in the top percentage to be able to continue. And I've had some fun with that. I played through all the different worlds that are in there now, including like the secret one. I haven't gotten first place on all of them, but I have played all of them and completed them, and it's great. The one thing, knockout tour, Benji says, thank you, I appreciate it. He brings up the point too. He says the shells seem insanely overtuned at the moment. I've never been triple shelled, red shelled so often in one race in my life, and that's the thing I want to bring up. And I was thinking this, and then I saw a post, and I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but I'm willing to buy in on the Nintendo conspiracy for Mario Kart World that the AI is actually tuned to adjust to your play style, adjust to how good you are. If it knows that you are a player of slightly higher skill, it will actually ramp up the abilities of the AI. And so, for instance, the example this article used is they did 4 races in Knockout Tour. 2 of them they used the slide mechanic, and 2 of them they did not. And then the 2 where they used the slide mechanic, they were constantly hit with red and blue shells and all sorts of other power ups that negatively affect you. And in the 2 where they didn't use the sliding mechanic, they did not encounter almost any. And it could be coincidence and it could be situational, but they were able to place better in the rounds where they were playing worse than they were in the rounds where they were playing better. So something to think about. I've never loved the thing about Mario Kart where it's like if you're in first place, you're only going to get coins. You're never going to get anything cool other than a coin or, something that doesn't really attack you very much. Or attack other players very much. But if you're in last place, you're probably going to get, Bill the Bullet, as Brandon would say, or is it Bill the Bullet? Bullet Bill? I forget what you called him.
Bill the Bullet.
Bill the Bullet. Like if you're in last place, you're going to get power ups that enable you to get to the front of the line way quicker than if you're in the middle of the pack or even closer to the front. So that's something that I'm not ever been in love with Mario's game or with Mario Kart's game design. And it seems like there's potential that they've done that, but I have noticed that I barely get like attacked by anything at all. Like nobody's really interfering with me until I rocket in the first place, and then all of a sudden I'm getting pounded over and over and over. So I don't know. But overall, the Switch 2 feels great in my hands. I like the way the form factor of it. I like the way that the controllers snap into the side magnetically. I haven't experimented with anything else except for Mario Kart. I haven't even booted up. Actually, that's not true. I booted up Vampire Survivors last night for like 10 minutes before I went. No, actually, it was half an hour because I did a full run before bed just to play it. But like that ran fine on the original Switch, so whatever. But I will be playing Zelda Echoes at some point. But I like the Nintendo Switch. Once again, I probably didn't need it right away, but I wanted it and I bought it. And I'm a shill. So get over it. Speaking of shill, one more thing that's not directly gaming, but it is gaming adjacent. I have not played Magic the Gathering, really, you could say at all, but in any form for about 20 years. I played some games with a friend who had cards like 20 years ago, literally in high school. And haven't really thought about it since. But when they revealed that the Final Fantasy universe was coming to Magic the Gathering, I was like, I'm in. And so I've been watching over the last few months as they've revealed cards and getting ready for pre-orders and everything. And my buddy who runs the comic shop here in town called me the morning or the night before pre-release and was like, "Hey, if you come in, because technically cards aren't supposed to go on sale like in full at retail until this weekend, but they got them in last weekend." So he called me and was like, "If you come in tomorrow morning, I can get you basically whatever you want." So I spent more than a few $100 that I should have. I say should have like it was a irresponsible decision. It was a responsible decision. I just don't know if it was, it's not the decision a lot of people would have made. And bought a bunch of Magic cards for Final Fantasy. So I've opened most of them. I still have some that I've not opened yet, and my kids don't understand because they're used to the Pokemon hype where you're just opening it just to see what that last card is. The rest of them don't even matter. Where with me and Magic as a whole, but with me, I'm like, I want to look at every card and see all of it. Like I wanted them for the art and for the characters and for the worlds that I love in Final Fantasy. So it's been a lot of fun. I have pulled some pretty cool cards that are both neat looking and also worth some money, which is nice. I don't really, unless I pull like a double of something that's really expensive, I'm not planning on selling any of them. I just want them for myself. But it's been fun. It's been fun getting back into a trading card game and getting to open them. And the thing I left, I was at home finishing up work and watching the Summer Games Fest last Friday, but I ended up leaving early because I was going to the pre-release event at my local game shop, and actually did like a blind box opening where you open 6 packs and build a deck out of it and got some experience. I got pounded. I got absolutely trounced because I was playing with guys who know what they're doing, and I literally haven't thought about Magic in, like I said, over 20 years. So, but it was a lot of fun. Met some cool people. A lot of times it's interesting because when you go, my wife and kids used to go and play Yu-Gi-Oh like every other week, and you'd go and there'd be like some nice guys there, but they were all like typical video game or typical comic book store guys. And I don't mean anything negative by that. I'm just saying, what I mean. And I went to this Magic event, and it was Final Fantasy and Magic. And you had maybe a couple of those, but by and large, everybody was like respectable businessmen in their 40s or like construction workers coming in right after work with their gear still on and dried cement on their knees from being out in the elements all day. And the trains coming by as normal as I'm talking. But it was just a totally different crowd than you're used to seeing at something like this. That's so incredibly nerdy, but these are like adults with families and lives and personalities who've just been playing consistently for decades at this point. So that was a cool social experience to see just like guys, just normal guys hanging out, playing with cards. So it was cool. But yeah, I'm really excited to continue opening them, and I probably won't buy like a ton more, but I will buy some more. Just not in as big of a bulk as I did right off the bat, because these cards it's one of the most crazy demands they've ever seen for Magic the Gathering. And, There's people like me who it's like, I don't really care about Magic the Gathering, but you combine Final Fantasy with it, and I'm in. Like, that's just all there is to it. So, having a lot of fun with that. It's been an enjoyable time. And that's all we got. Oh, one thing to say. My kids both bought one pack, like one single booster pack, and my son pulled like the card I wanted from the set, and it's like worth, I don't know, $50 or something. And I was mad because he has no idea or interest in Final Fantasy or Magic, and I hate him. I'm going to steal it from him in his sleep. I've threatened that multiple times. I'm the dad. I can do what I want. I'm not really going to do that just for the cops who are listening. That's all I got. That's all we got. Boys, is there anything I missed? You can support us on patreon.com/handsomephantom. Get the shows delivered to your ear holes a little bit earlier than everybody else. Don't forget, starting next week, next Wednesday, the 18th, I think it is, the show will be live on Wednesday nights. So if you can, come hang out with us and support us on Patreon if you can. Dave?
I think next week is a slightly special show we're due for our mid-year check-ins, Brandon.
Okay.
Cool.
For
I'm ready.
Our resolutions. So
I'm ready.
It's a chance to provide updates and change things, right?
Already got mine. I already got next week's planned out.
Cool.
I'll be updating y'all very shortly.
Real quick, Edward Walton says he might get into collecting if he knows the value. Benji says get it PSA rated and then say they lost it. It's interesting because my kids already collect Pokemon cards, and they know the value. Like, they know every card. Like, oh, that's a 10-cent card, or that's a $87.50 card. Like, they just know all of it. But they don't understand the Magic cards. Like, Magic is way more about the playability, it seems, for the value of the card. Obviously, if it has Sephiroth on it, it's going to be worth more than it has some no-name character. But they're way more about, like, there's more of a factor on whether they're playable or not. So he's into collecting. Just whether or not he'll collect Magic cards, I don't know. And then Benji said, get it PSA rated. I know you were joking, but the interesting thing is that because of the highly playable nature of valuable Magic cards, getting them PSA rated oftentimes drives down the value because people don't want it if they can't play it. They want to actually be able to put it in their deck and play it. It's fascinating, the difference.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What an insane thought.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy.
I think it's because Magic started out as a trading card game, and Pokemon was always kind of a collectible card game. I mean, we definitely played as kids, but it was different.
Is it a fair statement to say that Pokemon cards are used primarily for collecting and trading, whereas Magic is more for playing?
I know that there are like Pokemon championships and competitions and everything else for sure, but definitely you see more like, let's open these Pokemon cards and see what they're worth. What card did I get? What hit did I get? And it's all about that like dopamine of getting to the last card and finding out what you have.
It's gambling.
It is gambling. Whereas Magic is still gambling because it's a sealed pack that you don't know what's in it. But it is definitely has much more of a focus on, I want that card because I can put it in my deck and beat you with it. So there is definitely a difference, although there are some similarities for sure. And I think when it comes to packs like this, Final Fantasy, or like when Lord of the Rings or whatever came out, there is some like draw to, I got to get the card with my favorite character on it, but it's not as much as with Pokemon. Benji says, perfect, get it PSA rated and then say it's worth nothing and buy it off them for a discount.
Roll tonight.
Perfect. Also, hang out with us in Discord. Don't forget that. You can talk about video games or Magic cards or Final Fantasy or whatever your little heart desires, as long as it's not illegal. We'll entertain it. And that's it. That's all we got. Boys, thanks for hanging out. We will no longer see you on Tuesday nights. We'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out, and goodbye.